Almost there.
Live. We are live
We're doing
on
it live. Oh.
YouTube. And now we're going to be podcast live.
What's up, everybody?
All right. Let's fucking do this thing. I bet that's annoying for the people on YouTube. In my room. What's up, guys?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm having a great day.
Thank you guys so much for being patient with my stupid schedule. I know I said that before the podcast, but like this should have happened a lot sooner.
Life happens. I'm just really happy to be on now, which is
hell yeah.
Like bottom line where it's at.
Episode number 26 of the Don't Start a Band podcast. Introduce yourselves and tell everybody a little bit about yourselves.
I'm Kason Clark. With In My Room, I do guitar for In My Room. I also do a project called Bubaduck. It's just a little side recording project I have. You can check it all out on any streaming platform.
I checked it out on Spotify.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Solid choice of streaming platforms for sure.
Yeah. I can just say I'm very passionate about writing. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll put it at that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm Nick. I play the rhythm guitar and I do the vocals. I also produce the band and I play drums in Bubaduck. So
and produces Bubaduck.
Yeah, and produces in general
in
everything
general,
we do because we have no money.
Are you guys the only two members in Bubaduck, or is there a basis?
Pretty much. I mean, it just kind of started off where I wrote these songs acoustically because I would write them and they weren't really like in my room material, so I just kind of kept them in the back burner. And then Nick listened to the song Casey's Revival acoustically, and he's like, "Why aren't you like doing this?" As a thing, like why is this not a thing? So that's when the project was born. I based the name Bubaduck off of a meme I saw on Instagram.
Nice.
There's this goat that wears this duck suit, and he like the whole purpose behind it is he wears the duck suit because this goat has anxiety, and the duck suit calms him
think
down.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I saw that and I was like,
hilarious.
that's Bubaduck. So that's where that started.
I have kind of the same thing for the Backseaters. It's like solo songs or acoustic songs that don't sound like Backseaters material, but I love it. So I'm like, fuck it, people are gonna hear it. So
I listened to the Phantom EP, by the way. That's really good.
You like it?
Yeah, I've been jamming the song. Was it Phantom?
Yeah, the title track.
Yeah. It was really good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Recorded with Taylor Hahn at Hahn Audio.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude for sure.
He's a super good dude. Super buff, good looking guy as well. So what got you guys into music?
Ooh.
I'll let you start that one.
I started playing alto saxophone actually when I was in elementary school. And I mean, that kind of just led into it. Eventually I got tired of it and wanted to play guitar because I got a little older and I was listening to Green Day and Sum 41 and Blink-182 and stuff at the time. And so I wanted to learn those songs. It wasn't really a spot for alto saxophone. So
nice. I wonder what the
so
ratio is from like people who grew up listening to Blink, Sum 41 and Green Day and like went on to play music, what the ratio is from like people who went on to play music and people who didn't. Because it seems like, especially so many people our age, like, how old are you guys?
22, 21.
Okay.
Yeah, 22.
So like around early 20s or whatever, a lot of the influences are, well, yeah, I got a Blink record and then I wanted to play guitar. So
the funny thing is I actually don't like Blink. I only like Take Off My Pants and Jacket or Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, something like that. But the rest of it I can't get behind. And so I always get shit for that. But
I mean, like, what is it? Enema of the State? No, that's not.
Enema of the State.
Yeah, okay.
Good. But, I mean, it's got a couple of good songs, but really, I mean, for the most part, I felt like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was good all the way through. But then I was always hardcore into Green Day. I still am. I mean, and Sum 41 obviously as well.
Oh yeah. I feel like Sum 41 has died off a little bit. Like they haven't died, obviously. They're like doing shit, but like people always say Blink and Green Day. But I definitely grew up with like an all killer, no filler
Oh, yeah.
attitude.
Oh, yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Oh yeah.
Because it was in,
stole
like-
that record from the library. I didn't steal it. I borrowed it
And never
yeah, and
returned
then-
it.
No, and then burned
Borrowed it
and
without
then-
anybody knowing.
I did that with 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge from a Douglas County library once.
Really?
Don't say
Doug-
where you got it
Okay,
from.
Douglas County Libraries, if you see this,
No, I returned it. I just
Send
burned
me
the
a check
songs
in the
off
mail.
of it,
I
so
owe
I'm pretty
those
sure that's
sons of
illegal,
bitches
too.
so much money. So many fucking late fees. I probably accidentally stole something. It's not stealing because let's be honest, and I've probably said it on the podcast. What I used to do is I used to get the CDs from the library, bring them home, and burn them all onto a computer
Yep.
or
Oh,
burn
yeah.
them all onto another disc. So it's like, why not just let me have the actual CD?
Yeah, my dad, when I was doing that when I was younger, he was like, you know, there you can get in trouble. You can get like sued for what is it, like not copyrighted?
Piracy?
Yeah, piracy.
I
He's like,
is
"There's a
that
big
only if
fine
you're
and
trying to
everything."
sell it though?
well, I mean, I know pirating is the selling
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, technically, you didn't buy your own copy, so it could be
Yeah.
considered piracy. But it's 2019, or I guess it was like 2015 or 14 or
Fucking
whatever.
everything gets
Whenever
pirated
that happened.
nowadays.
We
YouTube
actually,
is the pirated movie central capital
Oh, yeah.
of the
Oh
world.
yeah, and plus you see all those things that have the like Family Guy compilation, blah 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 blah. They
Yeah.
do the live things with Family Guy episodes all the
Mhm.
time, and it's just a reoccurring thing on YouTube.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
We don't want you to
support
do it.
piracy.
If you're gonna pirate music, pirate the backseaters and In My Room. And make sure if you steal the shit without paying for it and you're not streaming it, give it to all your friends.
Yeah,
Just let us know you're listening to it.
Exactly.
That's all.
we actually got asked that same question from our promotional label we're on, from the Depths. We've been with them now for several years.
Nice.
Through a couple different bands, and they asked us how we feel about people pirating our music, and I told them, I was like, if it you know makes you want to come to a show, and even
Yeah.
better, bring a friend to a show, and then maybe buy a shirt, like we're not making money off of Spotify anyway, and that's not really our goal to begin
Yeah.
with, you know. So I'm like, pirate it, I don't care. Like if you
Yeah.
want to listen to it, you know, it's
If you like it that much to go through like that much trouble, because like
exactly.
I feel like it's probably cheaper, but it's a lot harder to go through the navigating of stealing something as opposed to
Exactly.
streaming it. But
And
Mhm.
trying
you
to find
know.
a good quality version of it too.
yeah,
Which I mean, most of our stuff is free on Bandcamp, except there's a couple more recent things that are like $1, but
yeah.
I mean, other than
That's
that,
fair.
like,
As long as it brings you to the show.
Yeah.
Speaking of Taylor Hahn, one thing that he said on the podcast that kind of like turned on a light bulb in my head and made total sense is bands are more so a t-shirt company that
Yeah.
also makes music nowadays.
Yep.
So
you're a clothing
ins-
designer.
yeah, if it inspires you to buy a t-shirt, pirate it all you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a rule with myself where if a band that I really like has a vinyl for sale, I always buy it, because I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, this is my contribution to your band. Like, keep doing your thing, you
Yeah.
know. And
Sometimes
So I
I'll go
justify my-
super crazy and get like the CD and the vinyl.
I don't
And
think
there's
that's
only been-
super crazy. That's just like
Yeah.
you should see
Well,
how
there's
many
been a couple
garage shirts
artists
I own.
where I've bought it on iTunes, bought the CD and the vinyl, but that was mostly due to impatience because I got the iTunes first and then the CD and then the vinyl.
were
So
they all like pre-orders, like
Yeah.
that kind of. Okay.
that's what sucks about pre-ordering like a physical copy is you don't get it until like later, so you're staring at it on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely been albums where I have 3 copies of it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Blink, Green Day, and Sum 41. And then-
I mean, as far as my musical background goes, it's just all over the place. It goes from like, you know, one day I just got an acoustic guitar for Christmas when I was 8 years old, and I just decided that that's something I wanted to do, and then it ended up like turning into a dying passion.
nice.
You know, I would back in the day I covered a lot of a lot of bands, probably just like I did cover a lot of Blink-182.
Yeah.
Obviously, All Time Low. I like covering a lot of Put Up or Shut Up, but I
Yeah.
wasn't very good at it at the time.
Yeah.
So
It's fun to go back and play those old songs. Like I was, you know, playing Hot for Teacher the other day. I'm like,
Really?
Yeah.
man, I could have never played this like when I was first learning, and
Damn.
even like Day Tripper by the Beatles,
Yeah.
that B minor, because John Lennon, for whatever reason, this is like his favorite chord. It's in every Beatles song. Could not play a Beatles song because of that bar chord, and so I'm like, oh, this is like a cakewalk.
I still can't play bar chords.
Plus, I would just watch like when I was younger, my parents got me this B-sides Deftones CD
Oh,
that
nice.
came with a DVD on it, and like watching Chino Moreno jump up on stage a bunch. I just saw that and I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that
Nice,
like all the fucking time.
So was that like, do you remember your turning point? Like when you said, this is what I'm going to do and nothing's going to stop me? Because like I have a defining moment where I remember just the switch flipped and I said, I'm not going to do anything else but that.
Probably when I met Nick, honestly, and joined his shitty high school pop punk band at the time.
What was it called?
All Wrong.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I like to learn like the early names of bands because sometimes it's like, you should have kept that name. And then other times it's like, good choice picking something new.
Oh no, one of our members just listened to the story so far and they had a song called All Wrong.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
that's just what came to fruition.
That definitely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I love the story so far. And that album is
band.
tight. What You Don't See.
Yeah.
They've kind of, maybe it's kind of emo, but they've kind of taken like a more melodic,
Yeah, for
emotional
sure.
route.
Yeah.
Have you guys listened to Proper Dose?
Yeah, it's a great
Kind of.
album.
Yeah.
I'm a way bigger fan.
I
of
Yeah,
really
we have
like
mixed
it, yeah.
feelings about Proper Dose. He likes it a lot more, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
Me, I just like, and this is not me saying like, oh, I'm better than everybody because I don't hold on to it. Like I love Under Soil and Dirt,
Oh,
but
great, yeah.
like
Great album.
I can progress as well. Whereas like some bands,
Yeah.
I can't like get behind it. Like for instance, All Time Low, Put Up or Shut Up, and then
So Wrong It's Right.
So Wrong It's Right, Nothing Personal, and Nothing Personal is where I just stopped.
Pretty
and I was
much,
like, everything
yeah.
after this is shit.
Yeah, pretty
an album
much,
with neck deep
honestly.
for me.
Well, now I realize it just wasn't for me. But at the time, I was like pissed off when Dirty Work came out. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this?
The one that had the whole like song about Wendy on it. There's that one album.
Yeah,
that's got like
Don't
this-
Panic, I
Don't- yeah,
think,
Don't Panic.
came out after Dirty Work because Dirty Work had the, I feel like dancing, that like super poppy like wannabe club
Well,
song.
yeah, because I listened to Nothing Personal, and then I ran into that, and then I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
bands change. I get it. Tastes change. They want to develop into something new.
The only part that was sketchy though is they went from like their longtime label Hopeless to I think Atlantic or some kind of like bigger label, and then that
Yeah.
album came
That-
out, and then they went back to Hopeless and did Don't Panic, and then I kind of thought maybe there was some upper influence on that.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows?
There's definitely some fueled by ramen memes out there on the same subject.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which not all fueled by ramen bands are bad. There are a lot of great ones out
Are they
there.
still going? Fueled by
Yeah.
Ramen?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're
they
still
got
around.
Paramore, Foster the People.
Oh, they still have Paramore?
Basement.
They're
Yeah.
relatively
Oh,
largely.
okay.
Yeah, they got
Nice.
Basement. Just a bit more big name bands. I
Yeah.
suppose can't think of anything. Front Bottoms. They have
Yeah,
the Front
Front
Bottoms.
Oh, that's right.
Another band that I
Man.
couldn't do after a little bit, but
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I have to say, me too. Like, I like certain songs off of the newer stuff, but that first self-titled album, I listened to nothing but that album for a whole summer.
oh yeah,
And then even Talon of the Hawk, I could still listen to that one all the way through.
That's
They
pretty
even
much my
had,
favorite Front Bottoms record. Not
Oh, yeah.
even that.
Twin Size Mattress is
Oh, yeah.
probably top 20 favorite songs of all time.
that Rose EP that they put out, I think it's got 3 or 4 songs on it. That's my
Yeah.
favorite one that they've ever done.
Well, that's also, it has some old demos. I don't know if you've ever heard their like first EP. It's called
No.
I Hate My Friends.
No,
And that's where it's got the one after Flying Model Rockets. There's a song called I Bring My Uzi to the Gym. And that's actually the first recordings of 12 Feet Deep.
Really?
which they eventually, I think, put on the Rose EP, right?
I believe it was on that one.
Yeah, so it had like the first versions of that
Huh.
before. Not to be like, you know,
That's
no, I
another
guess
song
I'll
I
have to
I'm
check
not
it
the
out sometime.
biggest Front Bottoms
Neither
fan,
am
but
I,
like
so you're
that's
fine.
and you know what? It shaped, and I'm sure you guys might be able to say the same. Like it kind of listening to all these bands with full lineups and full sounds, you hear that, and it's like A, honest, and B, simplistic but hard hitting at the same time.
Yeah, and that
Mhm.
drummer's killer too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the first time I saw him, they were opening for Motion City Soundtrack, and all he had was a snare, a floor tom, a kick, I think a hi-hat, and one cymbal.
That sounds like our drummer.
He has one more
That's-
symbol other than
yeah, he
that.
has
That's
one.
what he plays.
Really? No
Yep.
floor tom or
No,
rack
he-
tom?
No,
Yeah,
he's,
no
yeah,
rack
no rack
tom,
tom.
yep.
Just a floor tom, snare, cymbal,
If
hi
you can
hat.
do it. I mean,
Shout out to Joe, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing good.
Shout out to Joe.
He's in California right now. He messed up his ankle at an overslept show. He ruptured his Achilles tendon. So
ooh,
he's
Our
actually
drummer-
that sounds
yeah,
shitty.
on his right leg too. So he's actually out for
Yeah,
at least another couple months here.
that
We're
dude's
gonna have a
not
fill-in
going to be
drummer for a little
playing
bit.
kick drum.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
It's been a
That
kind of
sucks.
a struggle on the
How does that
band.
even happen? Does someone like step
He-
on it, kick
he-
it?
He
I
was
mean, he was just
jumping,
jumping
like, just
around.
jumping
He was
down.
doing
He
guest
was-
vocals at the
yeah.
time for Overslept during their set.
That kind of makes you like scared of.
Exactly.
You
I'm
know,
like,
I mean,
I'm
you
just
could
gonna
be scared of
stand with my
anything.
feet on the ground now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to overextend my ankle. Damn, that's
no more
insane.
snowboarding for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of, to go back to the drum subject, Zach Farrow or whatever, the drummer from Paramore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I watched an interview with him, and he talked about how when he first got a drum set, he was like all over the place, and his dad took away everything but a hi-hat, snare, kick, and I think a floor tom, just so that he would get like a super tight groove down and be able to rock like nothing but that.
Good on
And
him.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I saw him. I saw Paramore at Red Rocks last year with they were doing the After Laughter Part 2 tour or whatever.
Nice.
I think he played with like at least like an 8-piece kit, so that's really
Yeah.
interesting. Or I can't say that for 100%
Yeah.
certain, but it's definitely more than that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, by all means, I think that is genius for getting your feet under you and like
Oh yeah.
having like deep roots like that with just having the basics and then like building on top of that. It's kind of like, I mean, if you start playing guitar and you want to do solos right away, like you learn power chords first. I mean,
Right.
like in lessons, you probably learn scales first, but first thing you really start playing is power chords. So I guess it's kind of the same.
it just kind of depends on what you want to do. Maybe you want to like,
Yeah.
do this, but you got to start with, maybe the power chords, or maybe you want to be a little more technical and then you learn like how to read sheet music and
Yeah.
learn the notes.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, I never
working on
learned
that.
that. I just always. I mean, I did for classical when I was
Yeah.
in jazz bands and stuff, but for guitar, just tabs.
Yeah, something in me made me want to do guitar lessons, and like I learned scales and I know like where the notes are and like basic chords and stuff, but yeah, I haven't gotten past that. I think it's because I felt so self-conscious as a guitar player, and I think the bottom line was I just wasn't practicing enough.
Yeah, that's always
So,
what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually.
So what got you guys into like more of the emo music? Like were the bands you listened to just kind of like veered off in that direction, or
So
because you said the Front Bottoms helped shape the sound? a little
at
bit?
the time, I mean, like back in the day, my era of like what I listened to, like maybe 13 or 14, was like a lot of Under Oath,
Okay.
Sleeper, Jamie's Elsewhere, like really like
Nice.
metalcore bands that I
Yeah.
would just like get down to at the time. And
Nice.
I don't even know where I just had like
Yeah.
friends that that would
You
just
start
be like,
going
check out
to
this band,
smaller
you
and
know,
smaller
like,
shows.
if you like Slipknot, then like check out this band. If you like this band, then
Yeah.
like check out this. And then they just climbed up and
Yeah,
into what I would listen to nowadays.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always weird talking about like what got you to this point, but like when you listen to your music, like you can tell some of the bands like you emulate might be the wrong word, because like you're respecting those bands, and like you can hear like these guys love this band and their music. I mean, for me, listening to it, I got a modern baseball feel from it.
Okay.
Would that
Yeah,
be
the new stuff
that'd
will
be a little fair?
well, the new stuff will throw you off.
Yeah, the
for
new
sure.
stuff is
Yeah.
a lot more. We've really like grinded down to like make it a little more like punchier, and we didn't want to stick to like one sound and then be like,
Mhm.
cool, this is what the album's gonna sound like. We just have like a theme, and then
Yeah.
we just put
Well,
it together.
Well, what I always tell people too, when they see us live, like the last half a dozen shows we played or so with this new lineup and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been just dropping it harder and harder and harder, and so a lot of that is our drummer is actually just basically a metal drummer. Like he's
Okay.
got that background. He's in a couple of different bands, and
Nice.
Used to drum for Overslept.
Yeah, he used to
Oh,
play drums
really?
for Overslept,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
He's got a project called Father Help Me. I don't think they have any music out yet, but he still promotes it. And
Yeah.
Nice.
But what I've ended up telling people is like the stuff on Spotify, you have to remember that when most of that was released, we were a 3-piece queer punk band.
Queer
And
punk band.
At
Yeah.
the time, yeah.
me and
Yeah.
him we were playing in drag, and like we would have,
Nice.
We would
pink
do
eyeshadow and
makeup,
stuff on.
flowers.
It was
we-
it's
I heard a
almost
girl
weird that-
singing. Was there a girl in the band, or
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
a past member
Nice.
in the band, and then kind of just things progressed, taste got different, so we just
Yeah.
kind of developed what we have nowadays, you know.
So we went through a huge shift when she left, and he was actually our main drummer. And then we would
Yeah.
switch back and forth. There's a band called Power Bottom out there that they're not around anymore, but
Yeah.
that's kind of what they would do too. And so we were pretty heavily influenced by them. And so
Nice.
a lot of that older stuff is a lot lighter and a lot different thematically than what you're hearing now. And when people come out to shows, we haven't put down any of this new stuff in the studio yet, and it's nowhere to be found except
Yeah.
for live. And so
That always sucks when people are like digging
Yeah,
it and they're
I know,
like, "Where is
right?
this shit?" And you go, "We're
We
working
had
on it,
like,
okay?"
someone came up after our Maddie's Change show. We played at the Marquee. They released a EP not
Okay.
so long ago. And some guy came up after the show and was like, "What's that song? I want to listen to that." We're like, we can't do anything about it. You
It's
just
a
I
ways
guess
out.
you'll have to come to the next show.
our drummer's
Darn.
broken now, so we can't even record. I don't know. Yeah, we'll get around to it. It's the whole thing's actually scratched. It's ready to go. We're just kind of
Yeah.
waiting for Joe to get better and kind of playing some shows in the meantime. So
That's the hard thing for me, man. Is like I said, I'm not super good with patience.
oh,
And
yeah.
so it like I get the idea to like do an acoustic cover of it or something. Like when people express like the fact that they like it, you just want to like give it to
Bring it
them,
out there,
write
but
them,
then
but
there's-
then you got to think about the fact that you want it to be the best it can possibly
Yeah.
be before people hear it. So
Oh yeah, that's something
Okay.
I really had to take into consideration when Joe had his ankle happen, because we were like ready to go into the
Mhm.
studio. It happened. Life happens,
yeah,
Can only imagine what he's going through with his ankle. He's a very
Right.
serious drummer, and he has
Mhm.
a lot of music that he attends to. And
Yeah, but he's also
Yeah.
family. And like first thing I told him when that happened was, I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter if it takes you 3 years, to get better. Like if this band is still around when you're here, like you still got a spot, And so I'm like, we'll find
Nice.
a fill-in so we can kind of
Yeah.
keep playing shows. But you are our drummer until you decide not to be. So
so are you guys just gonna continue like booking shows?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the idea.
in the
nice.
meantime, we're gonna have a drummer to fill in for us for a little bit, and then
we may look into. I've been working on re-releasing old songs. Because the other thing too about our music on Spotify is 3 of those songs are fairly well recorded, and then the other ones I had 3 total microphones to work with and do
Yeah,
full drums and everything. And
recording an entire drum set on 3 microphones,
Yeah.
basically.
I've done that. I actually the first like Backseaters demo, I actually hooked it up to that PA, and I had the microphones coming out of that, and then the 2 speaker cables I had running into this jack that like turned it into one cable that I plugged into that tiny ass
Oh.
interface.
It's crazy when you think about where you started from and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I had a an SM57
Mhm.
and I had an MXL condenser that was worth maybe $15, and then I had like a
Yeah.
knockoff 57. And then just on Sunday morning, I was up working at Cosmic, which is the new studio I've been at now for a little bit. And
Okay.
I
The one in
had-
Boulder.
yeah.
Nice.
I had C414s as overheads, which are $1,000 microphones. And
Yeah.
I had an 81 on just the hi hat, you know, and like it's
Nice.
sub kick and a 52 like on
Yeah.
the kick. It's just crazy to see, you know, to look at, you know, your old bands, your old recording setup, or your old equipment,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and kind of like, how did I ever do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, David, the drummer and the backseaters, him and I were talking about that on the last episode that we did. That, you know, you still love those songs and you know that you can play it really well.
Right.
And like for me, the first, the Mailboxes EP and then our full length, I recorded all of it, but I'm like better at recording now. So I just want to like keep re-releasing everything
yeah.
until
Mhm.
I'm finally happy with it. But yeah, I noticed, I thought it was kind of cool, but the dorm room lattes, there's like dorm room lattes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And
That
I mean, they
shows kinda-
sound different enough to where like it sounds like a re-release, but it also sounds like an acoustic or like bonus track, which is cool. It doesn't sound like, oh, they, you know, didn't have any money on this first one and then made the second one. Like I think I don't know. I'm a sucker for like bonus tracks, B-sides, demos.
Oh
like,
yeah,
for
same.
sure.
We have a demo EP on Bandcamp where we did 2 live recordings and this acoustic song that we whipped up in an hour while we were all like, you know, hanging out at his old house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do one of those live recordings because there's just, I mean, there's a certain aspect that you get if you're a really tight band that you can create something and have this feeling when you're playing it all together. But when you're like sitting there and like recording your guitar part, you're not feeling that.
Yeah, it can be
Jump.
really stiff.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, sometimes in other bands that I played in, it kind of has the possibility of you recording it at a slower tempo because you're recording it by yourself, you're thinking about it by yourself, and then you go to play it live and you're like, this, I recorded it 10 BPM slower than it actually
Yeah.
is. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's so much more energy when you're, you know, playing it with the full band, hearing every part all at once.
for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Well, and I mean, you guys probably know this, but you get better at your instrument and more cohesive as a band. So
Oh
definitely,
yeah, especially if you're like, because like the current in my room lineup, we're all like great friends. We're
Yeah.
all great friends. We hang out with each other outside of everything, you know.
that's awesome.
We, you know, write really well together. It's just one of those things that we just picked up like as soon
Yeah.
as Joe came in for his first day. He was just like,
Yeah,
wow.
Joe was
We were
kind of a
like,
game changer.
wow.
That dude is
Nice.
like insane
Yeah.
with the drums.
Yeah. He wanted to be in the band, or you contacted him.
So when we went through our lineup change, I put out a post on Denver Music Scene or
Yeah.
you know, a couple of those different Facebook pages. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a drummer. You know, it's the worst instrument to be looking for because there's no drummers, and they're already like what drummers there are
Dude,
already
I
in
fucking
8
play
bands.
drums. Yeah.
I ended up having like 3 or 4 messages. We had Keenan from Backseat Vinyl as our drummer for a little bit.
Okay.
We had Nate from Maddie's Change come in for a practice, and then you know just a couple of people that did really great jobs for us, and then kind
Yeah.
of just decided they didn't have enough time, which is fair. And Joe is one of the people that responded to that original post, and I forgot to respond to him for like 2 months. And when we were out a drummer
Nice.
again, I was looking through my messages. I was like, "Oh, I
That's
wonder
how you know
if
it's
this
meant
guy,
to be.
like-"
That's
Yeah.
awesome, though.
Mm.
Do you ever find like being such great friends when you're delegating responsibilities and like who's doing what? Like if somebody falls down on the job, does that make it easier or harder for you to like confront them about it? Because
I would say with me and him living together,
that probably helps.
we
Yeah,
we
yeah.
joke a lot of the time. My girlfriend hates it that we're married. This is my
Yeah.
husband. So
For real, dude.
On the daily, we go out in public and say this like,
he's got a cute like backstory too. He's like, oh yeah, we met on the beach in Cozumel, and yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's a good time. But
Mhm.
honestly, I was just gonna say at this point, I feel like we have musicians in the band right now that all have years and years of experience and are
Okay.
very, very professional people. So
Yeah, you guys
everyone's
don't take
kinda
everything
been through
personally.
it, and yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we're all kind of past all of that. And so I mean, hopefully, fingers
Yeah.
crossed, but
That's the hardest part about, I mean, for me being like band dad in my band, like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And like I know that I'm intense and like I'm super crazy passionate about this. And so sometimes it comes off as me being a dictator as opposed to like a president.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
that's just when you have like, if something were to happen in your or in anyone's band, really, that just kind of is like, well, we have these moments where we're writing, where we
Mhm.
write something, and then maybe Joe doesn't like it. And he's like, well, no, I don't like that at all. Actually, like, can we do
Yeah.
it this way? We'll try it, and then we'll go back and forth. It almost feels like we're bouncing ideas, but more aggressively.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the end of the day, like we
Yeah.
come back from it and we're like, yeah, that was a good writing session. We're all cool in the end. We just need to
Yeah.
have a level of understanding where we make sure that, what we talk about is more progressive.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you just have to make sure that you're moving forward and not just fighting each other.
Yeah. Well, that's what it sounds like is not, it sounds like a fair compromise because,
Right.
I've definitely played with some people. I'm not saying in the backseaters. I've played with some people who they hear a song that you've written or whatever, and they just straight up go, I'm not playing that. Instead of like trying to work around it and like
Yeah.
find a way to play it where like you love your drum part and this person still gets to do a variation of their guitar part.
Right.
And yeah, I always say that being in a band, you have to have an open mind and like respect the people you're in a band with, but like also be direct.
Yeah.
What
So-
happens with us a lot of the time is I do a lot of the writing, especially lyrically. He's been doing actually a lot more of the musical writing.
Okay.
But there's a trend.
Who
it's-
sings the most?
I'm the lead.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he does.
He's-
I just do like backups. And
Okay.
Yeah, he's our
screaming and-
screamer and
Nice.
backup singer and stuff. But I'll bring, I'll write a song acoustically and kind of bring it to practice. And then by the end of practice, I'm like, okay, so we kept the melody on the third chorus, but it's now a completely different song. And
Yeah.
that's just sort of the way it is. And at the end of the day, I took something that I created and then everybody else made it better. So,
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about you doing that as opposed to, like sometimes I get super excited on an idea and like I can play drums and guitar and do all that stuff. So I'll shell out like basically a whole demo, like idea of a song. But what I've kind of backed off to doing now is like I'll do the guitar part, maybe the lyrics, because when you're playing the guitar part, the drummer's going to hear a different drum beat in his head that maybe you would have heard a completely different one. And then bass, I don't know too much about bass to really like, I just follow the guitar when I record the bass on the demos, but
Right.
it's just cool to know that like people hear things differently and like beats and
yeah.
everybody gets different feelings from different songs.
Oh yeah, especially if it's like, part of what music is, like something that people love to like, feel like that they get to individualize themselves with, because, it makes it unique to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to say that, I'm all about this, but at the same time, I'm all about like this part of the scene. I'm indie rock, but like I love rap, or like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I'll,
sure.
I'll go
You
from
know.
NWA to Lorna Shore really quick.
Yeah. Well, to only, say that I listen to indie rock and that's it and refuse to listen to anything else, like you're really hurting yourself more
Yeah,
than
seriously.
anything, because I mean, I've gotten ideas from Nora Jones. I love
Oh,
Nora
yeah.
Jones's music
Yeah.
as a lyricist, as,
So are you kind of
as a jazz musician.
Are you kind of a country fan then, like an old school?
Old school, yes. Did you, I mean, since you're asking me, you probably heard the album that Billy Joe and
Mhm.
Nora Jones did. I thought that was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
Can't
But,
say I've
like,
ever heard of
and
It's good. The song Rocking Chair on it,
Yeah, that's a great one.
phenomenal.
Oh,
But
yeah.
to go back to the country thing, and it kind of works with, talking about emo music and stuff, Marty Robbins.
Okay,
Have you ever listened to? Okay, you need to go and listen to his stuff, because it's like old, like 1950s, 60s like outlaw country. Like a lot of the
Yeah,
songs are,
Oh,
you know,
brother,
like
where art thou? Kind of.
yeah, like
scene.
kind of the cowboy country, like a lot of
Mhm.
the stuff he talks about. I mean, you picture it in old saloons and shit like that. But I consider him to be like the first emo because like one of his songs is called, and it's my favorite song by him. It's called "They're Hanging Me Tonight," and it's basically about him being in love with this girl, and she falls in love with another guy, and he ends up seeing them in a cafe and kills them both.
Oh.
And he says, they'll bury her tomorrow, but they're hanging me tonight. And like a lot of his songs end with somebody dying in the end, but like it's super heartfelt and like, I don't know, for not having been a cowboy, it still feels relatable
Yeah.
and beautiful. He has a song, you might have heard this one. It's called El Paso.
No.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head. Maybe if I heard
That
the
was
first
like
couple
his
chords.
hit, and like the Grateful Dead did a cover of it, and like a lot of people have
That was
covered
a
it.
cover?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Grateful
Okay, I know
Dead
it-
covered
yeah,
El
I love
Paso.
finding that out.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
Counting Crows actually covered The Dead, which I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they kind of have a similar thing about them, but yeah, they covered it escapes me, but
Oh,
I'll remember it.
I'll have to
But
look into it at some point.
yeah, it's one of those songs that I thought that they wrote it until I heard the Grateful Dead version, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's how, because Sublime covered the Grateful Dead too.
Oh,
And
really?
it took me a while to realize that it was a Dead song. They have a song called Scarlet Begonias.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
yeah, the Sublime
Yeah.
covered that, and then I was
Huh.
like, wait, this is a Grateful Dead song. What? And then I put
Yeah,
it
dude.
together.
Who was the artist that covered "The Boys Are Back in Town" that you didn't know that was a cover until I
Oh
told
no
you?
no no no. Okay,
'Cause
so
I was
we
ashamed.
we were listening to the Boys of Summer.
Or "Boys of Summer"?
Yeah,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
there's this band called Daddy Issues
Yeah.
that did a cover of it. I was like, Nick, you got to listen to this song. It's so good. And he's like, this is a
the
cover.
Boys of Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think what's that band that has the popular cover of it? Fuck.
Bowling for Soup, 1985.
No.
Or
It's of Boys of Summer, and it's like
the Ataris.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Ataris. Like a lot of people think the Ataris wrote that, but like it goes back even further
Yeah, it's
than
an
that.
80s song.
And then they switched up the whole
Yeah.
like Deadhead sticker. They did, I found a black, or was it
A
black flag sticker on a Cadillac.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What was I gonna say? It was not. Is it
Something about the
1985 or
country.
is it Bowling for Soup has a song that everybody thinks that they wrote? Maybe is it Stacy's mom? Or is it-
I think so because
That wouldn't
like I
surprise
remember
me.
seeing that. I mean, on LimeWire and shit, like a lot of
Yeah.
people think that they wrote Stacy's mom, but it's Fountains of Wayne, which that was their only song.
Yeah.
And a little tip, I think I've said it on the podcast before, but we're actually going to start covering Stacy's mom.
Hey.
That song is
Nice.
fucking hard to sing, dude.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah,
just
100%.
Parts of it, it doesn't make sense with my voice, but yeah, there's actually I think Polyphonic, or maybe there's a bunch of music YouTube pages that I follow, but there's actually like a top 10 songs that you think were written by somebody else.
I know like Music is Win, or that YouTube page does a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, there's just a ton of them, but it's crazy, those songs that you fall in love with and you know, find out that there's a cover and you're like, fuck. Like a lot of people think
Yeah.
that Johnny Cash wrote Hurt, and Tom Petty wishes that he had written Won't Back Down and given it to Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
because he
Oh.
said
Would have made
that,
more money off it, I'll bet.
oh yeah, and Cash just, you know, sang it and played it 10
Yeah.
times better because he was Johnny Cash.
It's Johnny
Oh, yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I've Been Everywhere because he mentions Colorado in there. I'm like, hey, that's
Yeah.
our state.
Yeah, Johnny Cash is another, I don't know, for some reason, like my two big eras that I love that obviously were way before my time, the 1950s, because for some reason I just love the way that like people talked to each other back
Yeah.
then, and everybody always said hi to one another, and it just, that's when the American dream was alive, and like people had
people take
Yeah,
their hats
100%.
off.
Yeah, and they
picture
had
big
like just
buildings.
respect for
Yeah, it's
themselves and
the
like
elegance.
yeah, they
yeah.
wanted to work hard and be the best that they could be. And then I also love the 1800s Cowboys.
Yeah,
Like my favorite
Red Dead Redemption.
well, I haven't played that yet. I really
It's
want
a great
to.
game.
But the third Back to the Future,
Mm.
that's
Oh,
like
yeah,
one
I'm
of my
all about
favorites
that.
because something about cowboys, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think I would definitely be an outlaw if I was like transported back in time. I just,
Yeah, you'd be in like
it's
a cowboy
cool.
gang.
You're on the run. You get to
Robbing
like see the
trains.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah, robbing trains.
So
you
are
know.
you like the solo cowboy, or do you run with a pack then?
No,
The
cowboys
Lone
aren't
Rider.
solo.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the Lone Riders get shot.
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
they always ran in packs. They had gangs. They had like
The closest
something
thing I
similar.
have to a pack is my roommate and I have agreed that there's a lot of times where we think about stealing shit. Like him and I both never would because I mean that's just the kind of person we are and we don't
except for some 41 albums.
yeah, I guess. But yeah, we always just think like how easy would it be to take that right now? You know? So,
Mhm.
and I always think like the first thing I think of if I could teleport would be robbing a bank.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, that's
It's like Portal.
Yeah.
You just open it up and then you walk through and then just keep throwing it in the portal.
oh yeah,
That's the thing. They have all those like those things you see on Facebook and stuff. It's like what superpower would you want to have if you could have invisibility or teleportation? It's like, well, really, you could do a lot with any of those. So like if you
teleporting. I would
Yeah.
teleport fucking straight to the mountains. Like during the summer,
exactly.
I would go there. Like if I had, I mean, even on my lunch break from work, I would go just like somewhere random in the woods and just sit there and listen to fucking nothing for an hour.
Right? How was your lunch break? I went to Norway for a little bit.
Yeah, just fucking
Went
hang
up
out.
north, checked out Aurora Borealis. There's nothing. Came back.
And now I'm
clocked
here
back
again.
in.
Yeah, for me, and that's another weird thing is like I don't like the beach really. Tropical is
I
not
can
my
agree with
scene,
that. The tropicals
but
also.
like the mountains and like camping and stuff, that's my shit.
I love the whole like because I grew up in a very small mountain town in Utah called Cedar City.
Okay,
It's right off of I-70. You just go to Beaver County and then you're right there. If you walk outside, the peaks are just like right up at the top over
Nice.
there. Yeah, and those awesome like summer days where you like pull back a tree and then you just see this lake in a
Ugh.
valley and it's
it's
summer.
the fucking best, dude.
Yeah.
Or like a babbling brook. There's
Yeah,
nothing fucking
exactly.
better, dude. Yeah, crackling fire when it's just coals.
Yeah. I got to go to Kauai this summer.
Yeah,
because I have some super nice parents. But
nice.
I was like, don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I would go back and stay
Yeah.
there forever. But
I mean, I feel like that's different. You know what I mean? Like California beach as opposed to like Hawaii beach.
that's true.
I've never been to Hawaii beach.
I was
so-
just terrified I was going to get eaten by a shark, to be honest with you. Like I have a crippling fear of open water.
damn.
It's like I was fine, and then a seal, what are they called? A monk seal
Yeah.
came and like swam up next to me and got onto the beach, and I was like, oh fuck no. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, even though it's a seal and it wasn't gonna do anything to me, like I have a terrible phobia of fish like
Yeah.
bigger than my
Just
hand. And
rolling
to me
on a
that's a
paddle
big
boat.
ass fish. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
Basically.
nope. I'm staying on the beach.
Wait, aren't seals? Never mind. I was about to ask if seals are mammals.
I mean, yeah, I think, right?
And they
Yeah.
definitely kill other mammals.
I don't know. I dropped out of college.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you'd have to like take a purposeful direction to learn that one. But what I was gonna say is I knew this girl back in the day who had the most insanely irrational fear of stingrays. Like she just thought when she went into the ocean she was gonna step on a stingray, and like she told me that she had to step, like people had to like walk with her on their feet because she was so terrified of it. And I think a couple months after she told me that, she got stung by a stingray.
Oh my God.
It's almost like that fear attracted, that one thing. So if that's the case, if your fear attracts whatever you're afraid of, I'm gonna end up on a really high peak one day.
Yeah.
Because that shit, it makes my hands sweat just thinking about it. But one thing I did want to ask you, and kind of bringing up different genres and stuff, do you feel like rap and like SoundCloud rap or whatever is stealing the thunder of emo and pop punk music a little
That's
bit?
a good question.
And this is
well,
not,
that's hard to answer.
for
Yeah.
all the SoundCloud rappers that love my podcast. This is not us talking shit. This is just coming to grips with like what is going on. Because I watched a video that straight up said that the reason there hasn't been a super resurgence of pop punk is because all those kids who would go up going this way listening to pop punk are first being introduced to these rappers and then going that way. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like that, like in the way that emo's progressed over the years, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I want to say, in my opinion, but emo kind of started off as like this subgenre, like kind of
Yeah.
more exclusive lifestyle,
American
of,
football, Bright Eyes,
yeah,
like that
mineral,
was
Captain Jazz, all that stuff. But then people kind of like took emo
hmm
and they made it more of a lifestyle nowadays. It's more of
Yeah.
like it's like a mindset essentially. You know, people don't want to listen to emo music, but they like the idea of, you know, like
saying
undergoing
that they're depressed and
yeah, but
Yeah, it's almost like an aesthetic thing. It's like
yeah,
a
and then
yeah.
people
vibe.
bring that in their music.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, which I think, I think the whole emo thing is a good outlet as long as you're honest about it. Because if you're chasing something that you think looks cool, people are gonna know you're full of shit.
yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, like, look at like I don't know, like, you know, like Little Peep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to Little Peep personally,
I
but
don't like Lil Peep
Yeah,
at
I
all.
can't
but
I get a
behind
lot
any
of
of
heat
Yeah.
for that one, but I just like
we have a lot of friends that do, but we
Well,
just
at least we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
It's a
we-
safe space.
it's a safe space.
But like Little
but
Peep
tons
was,
of people are
he
gonna
came
hear
from a background where he listened to, you know, Taking Back Sunday,
yeah.
Brand New.
Well, and he used samples from all those bands.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. He sampled a Taking Back Sunday song.
Okay.
Among
Um,
other things.
and
among other
Oasis.
things, yeah, and Oasis and all that stuff. But you know, and then like Wicca Phase, Springs Eternal. That was one of the old members of Tiger's Jaw.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
I think I saw that recently that he's like
Yeah.
a rapper now.
oh,
Yeah,
he's a
and now
very
he's, Wicked
successful.
Phase.
He
Okay.
like works within the scene, tours with bands like Turnstile and Angel
Oh,
Dust and Turnover and
That's insane.
oh yeah,
See
definitely.
what I think is really cool about it. I mean, I don't like any of it. It's not what I listen to. And
Yeah.
it's what other people listen to, and that's fine. But what I really appreciate about that genre is like I don't like Post Malone
hmm
or like his music, but I love him as a person and like his Nirvana covers. And,
Yeah.
like he's
The
you
dude
know,
can
he's
sing his
bringing-
ass off
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
He went to high school with the guys from Crown the Empire and almost became a member of the band.
Damn.
Yeah.
That fact blew my mind. Like
Yeah.
but they're bringing all these emo bands and like the old 90s grunge and stuff, and they're making that stuff more popular, which is like don't shit on those people because they're helping bring that stuff
Yeah.
back, even if they're not necessarily playing that kind of music. And,
I
we
guess
can all live in harmony.
yeah.
but-
You have a more futuristic thinking about it, which has just influenced me in this past 2 minutes and 47 seconds, is the fact that it might be going in the hip hop route now. But like one thing David and I were talking about is influences and how sometimes like you like to go back and listen to the bands that influence the bands
Right.
that influence the bands. And it might not be now, but maybe in the future, after the SoundCloud and emo rappers have gotten big, people are going to want to check out where they came from. And
right.
maybe some kids will grow up like medium like in the SoundCloud rap, but also hear like, oh, there's this rock music that sounds like SoundCloud rap, which is like kind of sad to hear come out of my mouth, but
bringing back like a whole new
Exactly.
like defined I set my friends on fire kind of vibe.
oh my god, dude, I loved that band, and like things that rhyme with orange is still like
I was listening to that in the shower today.
I love that song, but I saw them live one time, and the lead singer, like they were all fucked up, and
Mhm.
like I've never heard a professional band just like fuck up and be so off. But the dude, it was at Warped Tour, and he points at the Bronco on top of Invesco Field, and
Yeah.
he goes, "I just smoked an Angel Dust blunt, and I'm gonna ride that Bronco." And I was like, "Oh, that's why you suck."
Yeah.
Okay.
They get so much shit from the press.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. But
But you know what? To go back to you guys, from them is like they do what they want. They're not trying to
Oh, yeah,
impress
no, yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, we play a hardcore song half
Yeah.
through a set, you know. It's
Well,
like-
and that's what's cool about you talking about the progression of your guys' music and saying that, you're going to get an unexpected slap in the face or whatever when you hear the new songs. Like, you're not trying to pander to anybody, or like maybe the people that loved your old shit. You're playing the songs that you want to make.
yeah, because we did start off with the whole we wear makeup on stage and we have
Yeah.
flowers and we
The Replacements did that.
and we were terrible. by
Yeah.
the way.
Did
We
you
were
ever listen to the
absolutely horrible.
Replacements?
I know of, but I've never listened to them.
Check out their song Androgynous. It's
Oh, my.
one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. But I saw them, and they actually got banned from SNL for performing. I think it was for performing in drag, and like they were also just like
No.
intoxicated, I think. But
Okay.
I
well,
saw them at the first Riot Fest they did in Denver, and they did the same thing. Like they wore dresses, and
So did Kurt Cobain when he played too. He wore dresses and bras and stuff on stage.
that is true. Yeah, Kurt Cobain.
Don't know.
I hated on him for the longest time. I was like,
You're talking to the wrong person then. I have
well,
the
no.
discography on
Hey,
vinyl.
hey, sister.
his birthday was
Listen to
yesterday.
what I'm gonna say, okay? I hated on him for a long time. I thought he was shitty at guitar, that his voice sucked, and this was before I fell in love with like vocalists who weren't the best singers. Like I went through a phase where that's all I wanted to listen to was singers that couldn't sing that well. But just hated on him for the longest time, and then I watched a documentary about him and kind of delved more into what he was writing about, and just like kind of watched him and like learning that he wouldn't lip sync shit. I
Right.
think it was Top of the Pops that he refused to lip sync.
It was.
I know they did an MTV.
Yeah, MTV
Awards.
tried to make him.
Is that when he did the
too.
"Here we are now"? That one
And he
is
just
fucking
stood there
golden.
and did this with his guitar instead of actually
Well, and
playing
didn't
it.
Dave
because it's all
Grohl? He was
backtracked.
like doing shit. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
And then at the end, Chris Novoselic runs up to the mic and he's like, "Where's Axl Rose? I love you, Axl Rose." And then they just
hi
walk back.
Axel. yeah, for the longest time, and it was because I was fucking ignorant, dude. I can say that back in the day, musically, I was ignorant. Like I was open to the things that were in this subgenre. Like I listened to A Day to Remember and 4 Years Strong,
For
and
sure.
like that
Great
was pretty
bands.
much it. But I was ignorant. I didn't know any
dude,
better.
I still have my moments nowadays where I like, good example would be like when Knuckle Puck released Shapeshifter. I saw that and I was like, no, I'm gonna hate this. And then Nick played like 2 songs off of it. 2 songs, and then I was like, this actually isn't that bad. Like there's songs that I don't enjoy off of it,
Mm-hmm.
but they have this song called Everyone Lies to Me, and then the intro just
Yeah.
like makes you want
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, they kind of did the same thing that Neck Deep did at the start of I think it's Life's Not Out to Get You. They had that super heavy song that like started out the album.
Oh yeah.
I think that shit's badass, man.
Oh yeah. Plus back in the day they wanted to be the whole like pop punk band that just went like balls to the wall.
Neck
and-
Deep.
Yeah.
Listening to their early shit as opposed to now, like their guitars were a lot lower than they are now.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe
For
is
sure.
our Danny Washington.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, because Danny Washington's like a speed metal drummer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I always say Joe's better at drums than I'll ever be at anything.
Yeah.
So- and he's got 3, like it's just snare, floor tom, and kick, and he plays shit that I'm like, I can't even wrap my head around. So
I mean, going back to that, I kind of think maybe there's a possibility of he's not out like over exhausting his mind thinking like, oh, I could do this roll that goes up here, I could hit this symbol. Like, obviously you're not, consciously thinking about that the whole time you're playing, but the possibilities kind of like keep you in this little. But if you only have these like 3 things to hit,
Yeah.
then that opens up a whole world of possibility. And
Oh,
the
yeah,
Counting
yeah.
Crows did that. Not to keep going back on it, but when the Counting Crows recorded their first album, they were using like electric guitars, like keyboards, full drum kit, and then Adam Duritz like wanted to scrap all the songs, go back and redo them with an acoustic piano, a small drum kit, and
Good on him.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot. I mean, there's always that like turning point where you always just like, you see bands like remix and remaster
Yeah.
albums all the time. And I mean, usually I always see it working for the better.
Yeah.
The only case where I saw someone do that and I didn't really, Pierce the Veil decided to re-record and remix Selfish Machines.
Okay.
I didn't really like the new version. It just didn't hold up. But then
Was that the one that had Bulletproof Love, or was it?
Yes.
Okay.
The one where like the 2 kids are standing
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
box
yeah.
in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, and Paraphernalia and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Ice Nine Kills did that with Safe as Just a Shadow. They
And
did.
Did a killer job at it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
killed it. They called it something and reshadowed, re something and reshadowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only ever, man, as I keep saying these things, I feel like I sound like a fucking hipster or like a wannabe whatever douchebag. But the only thing I ever liked from them was like their first EP/demo
Okay.
that had a song on it that I think was like build a wall or build a bridge to jump off of it or whatever.
Because they also had the original version of What I Didn't Learn in Study Hall on that one too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
For some reason, like I loved that, but I think part of it is I just didn't keep listening to them. That might also be.
Yeah,
part of
I
it.
didn't like them for the longest time, and then I got into them a little bit more, kind of mostly with The Greatest Story Ever Told and,
Yeah.
and songs like
It seems
that.
like they're gaining momentum these days.
They are.
Like I didn't
but,
hear anything about
Well, they
them for the
built
longest time.
themselves like this perfect like concept of a band, and I love it so
Nice.
much.
The only thing that worries me, my vocal teacher and I agree on this. Spencer Charnas does not have much longer left as a singer if he kind of continues on the path that he's going, because his voice is really, really, really worn out.
Ollie Sykes
Yeah.
just blew it out.
I don't. Ammo. I listened to Ammo and I was like, oh, of course.
I haven't listened to anything off of that new album.
Yeah.
Again, not for me, man.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
not for me.
What you should do is Spencer Charnas should do the same thing that Danny Worsnop, Asking Alexandria.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he did, where he took a hiatus.
Okay.
And
Well, yeah, you
they
want to
had
give it a
different-
break before it busts.
Yeah, but he went to a world-renowned vocal coach and spent like a year or two working with him, and he's got a couple songs that I really like. One is Vultures, and then the other one's Under Denver, off their
Okay.
newest album, the newest Asking Alexandria album. And his voice is absolutely beautiful now. They're not
Nice.
nearly as heavy, but he like really kind of reeled it back in and was like, all right, this is what I am still able to do, and he's working
Yeah.
with it. It's amazing.
Well, that whole voice busting thing is how the world got damned with Skrillex,
Yep.
because
From first
Sonny
to last was
thrashed
cool.
his voice. The last time I had actually seen him was at the Marquee Theater, and he was doing this thing. It was like a solo project where he had his laptop playing the songs
Wait,
and like
Sonny or Skrillex?
Sonny
Oh.
before he started Skrillex.
Mhm.
And he was like singing along to the songs on his laptop. And then, a couple of years went by and here comes Skrillex. And I was like, that's crazy. Because a couple of years ago, I saw that dude at the Marquee and there was like 30 people there.
Yep. And then Skrillex came about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was also in From First to Last.
Well, yeah,
so-
that's
how
where,
he blew his voice out.
yeah. Well, and Burt McCracken did the same thing. And I feel like they haven't been the same since. But enough about these other bands. Let's talk about you guys. Mildly, what does it say? Mildly upset.
Yeah.
Please explain.
So I like to not be melodramatic, and I'm like kind of a hardcore feminist, so I try to not write anything that's misogynistic or derogatory at all, because it's
awesome.
It's really prominent in pop punk, especially at the local level. And it's not that I'm gonna name names or anything, but it's just I just
Like
don't
in local bands in
in
Denver.
local bands, not necessarily in Denver, but just the smaller ones that haven't necessarily figured out the subtlety in lyricism yet, when they're just sort of beginning.
And it's referring to me.
No,
That we can say for sure we're not referring.
Okay.
to you.
Nobody-
nobody in
much.
particular, just young people that
Okay.
haven't written a whole lot of songs and stuff. And so I try to not be melodramatic, and I try to be really, really honest with this band, and I try to not write anything misogynistic. And so it's a lot of it ends up coming out kind of lukewarm,
Mm-hmm.
as from a lyrical perspective, because I'm not as like venomous or whatever as some people would be lyrically. And I have a lot of one-liners and stuff that hit hard, and I have a lot of people that have pissed me off and inspired songs and stuff too. But I just also think that there's kind of a time and a place for it, and putting whether you like it or not, or whether you hate this person now or whatever they did, it's just I just don't think it's cool to be bashing them that severely from a stage. It's like, like I said, there's a time and place for it, and say that to their face or whatever you want to do. But I don't feel the need to put that in a song. And so that's what I mean by mildly upset. It's kind of like,
I like that though. You're not just like,
it's like, I'm going to talk about it,
It's
but I'm
got
not
a
going to
double
tear you
meaning,
down,
like people see mildly upset and they're like, haha, like mildly upset emo rock, whatever. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But
Yeah.
in the end,
I thought it was, pretty nifty.
thank you.
Yeah. But I get what you mean about, lyrically, and my songs, I'll tell you guys after we're done with the podcast. There's only one song that I have that's like a stab at something, but it's like not a person. But I feel like people lose the ability. I mean, there's not a lot of artists who can tell stories these days. Like I like, Counting Crows, Tom Petty, telling stories, but also talking about, a moment or something that maybe fell apart or didn't go the way you wanted to. But, a lot of the songs that some might say are misogynistic or malicious are basically people pointing fingers and not looking at the three pointing back at them. You know what I mean? Instead of just talking about what went wrong and not placing fault.
Right.
I know I'm getting like super philosophical about this, but I totally get what you're saying, because I think it's been overdone to do personal attacks and say shit like that. But I think there's better ways to go about it for sure.
Exactly. I just try not to. I try to not make it sound like, oh, you owed me something, or like
exactly
anything like that.
This is what you left me with, blah blah blah.
I would say a lot of our stuff is actually really self-deprecatory too. It's just
same,
like very like mean to myself. But
well, a lot of my songs kind of are more so about, well, actually like 90% of my songs are more self-reflective and like me looking at myself as if I was another person and like analyzing myself. But I was thinking about it a lot the other day, because I started writing this song and I was like, fuck, I have a lot of songs about being sorry.
Yeah.
Like that's my problem. But no, I like that. And I think it's cool to hear other people's perspectives when it comes to like the writing process and lyrical writing. Is that something you keep in mind when you're writing lyrics, or is it something that just naturally, you avoid subconsciously?
No, with lyrics, like I don't think anybody's like conditioned enough to be always politically correct or always. I think it really takes a lot of proofreading and it takes a long time to learn those things. And so what I do is I write lyrics. They usually just kind of come out, and then I'll go back and edit and be like, oh, I kind of sound like a piece of shit for saying that. So like I'm gonna change that to something else.
Or that might sound a little too like childish.
Yeah.
I mean, childish in the sense that it's just like, I want to be more descriptive and like I want people to understand the feeling more than the message. Like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it because I can't write songs like in the heat of the moment right after something happened. Like I have to analyze it, and also I think it's good to leave a little mystery
Yeah.
to the person who's listening to it, because then they can, say, I mean, maybe some really um narcissistic people, but like there's definitely songs where it's like they wrote this song about me and what I'm going through. Like
Yeah.
this
Oh
is
yeah.
spot on. But if you're 100% relating it to this one situation that you had, people are like, oh, so that's what Kason and Nick went through. Cool.
Well, plus I love the idea of self-interpretation through lyrics. You can
Yeah.
listen to a song that's that the person wrote about a breakup or they wrote about a drug addiction or something like
Yeah.
that, but that song, like when you listen to those words being sung, that
Mhm.
means something completely different to you than maybe it would to Nick. Someone might listen to Dorm Room Lattes and relate it to life at home versus
Well, the first
Yeah.
line of that one is I've been feeling suicidal. So
true. Yeah,
That
but
is
maybe
true.
for other reasons.
maybe different, maybe other songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like
But
I-
again, some people might relate to that.
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
on a completely different scale other than what we were feeling at the time.
yeah. Yeah.
I think it's cool to see what other people think my songs are about, because it's not
Yeah.
necessarily always like super black and white, and especially when it's about things that have happened with my parents. That's one thing that I try to be really kind of like covert about when I write, because me and my parents
That's
get
a good
along
idea.
very well now, and I'm like, it's all in the past. I'm still
Yeah.
gonna write about it because I feel like there's something there that could appeal to other people, and
Yeah.
that I can still kind of relate to. And I finally wrote him a song too where I say in the bridge, my parents were always smarter than I thought, and so I
Yeah.
always point to them when they're at the show. I'm like, hey, shout out to mom and dad, like we're cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, and with drugs and alcohol abuse and those kinds of things can be sensitive for people, and so a lot of
Yeah.
times you might think you know what it's about, but you really don't.
Yeah. I mean, I have a song, the first one that comes to mind, that's about bad habits and things of the sort. But if you listen to it from a perspective of somebody who maybe just got out of a relationship, like you can totally relate it to, falling into a relationship and getting sucked in and
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
having to step out of it. But that is not what I wrote it about at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And yeah, I don't know. I think that's really cool for sure. Kind of switching topics. You guys work with a management team?
Yeah,
Is that what
It's
you-
kind of more of a promotional label more
Okay.
than anything.
Yeah.
I think we kind of talked about it when we played at the summit, because I feel like I remember you saying something about like, getting hooked up with interviews and possibly like tours and shows. Is that something they do as well, or it's more?
So they do a lot of stuff. A lot of it's just kind of promotion and kind of sharing and like you said, getting interviews and things like that.
Okay.
Then they also have a huge database with like booking contacts for all 50 states, and
Okay.
they're able to help with a lot.
Do you
and
guys tour?
There may or may not be a tour happening, but if it were to happen, then my plan would be, because it would all be self-booked. I have like an entire schedule written out on my phone with
Okay.
possible dates, possible bands
for this tour that may or may
possible-
not be happening.
this tour that may or may not be happening.
Hypothetically, if we were going to
it
go
may or
on
may not be
tour,
happening, guys. But I pretty much just would shoot them a quick email. I'm pretty sure that because back in the day I was thinking about booking a show in California with the old
Okay.
pop punk band that we were in. We
Yeah.
worked with the same promotional label.
nice.
I sat in my car, talked with them on the phone, for a little bit, and pretty much told me about what they could do as far as like booking shows out of state and stuff like that. So I feel like that
Okay.
they
They're
would
really good guys.
they're really
for
great
sure.
guys. They've helped
Nice.
us a lot with
Did they help you with
Cruise.
marketing as well?
Yeah, to an extent, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of on a basis of hey, we have this release coming up, and we feel like if you guys helped us out and gave us some advice and helped us share it around, like it would probably go better. And they'd be like, all right, this is what you should do. Start sharing it at this date, and then we'll kind of coordinate. And so
Nice.
it's sort of on a case by case basis, and you sort of have to be proactive and reach out to them first.
Yeah.
We also work with a guy named Hector. He actually lives in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
And he
He's been a homie ever since
Yeah.
before in my room too. So like,
yeah,
Okay.
no, he's always been like a huge supporter, which is cool. And
Nice.
he's always been super willing to help. He's kind of starting to do the same thing that our like label does for us. Is
Yeah.
just sort of the same things. He's building databases of contacts and
Nice.
getting people interviews, and he's got a website going and everything. He's been a huge help as well. And one thing that he'll do for us too is just contact people like for us, so we look more
Yeah.
professional. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I always, when I send an email, I don't say that I'm the singer in the Backseaters. I always just say, I'm Jake Cook and I represent the Backseaters.
Right.
the
Yeah.
amount of
You know.
times that I've written emails like that, I
Yeah.
can understand.
I mean, eventually they find out, but
I always just keep it open ended and do like
Yeah.
from in my room.
yeah, that makes
I
sense.
always say Nick Canary with in my room. Like,
Okay. Nice.
More aficionado.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that so? The companies that you work with, did they come to you, or is that something you guys kind of seeked out to find?
They both came to us. We just ended up
Okay.
coming back to both of them
Yeah.
with this new band. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did they find you? Do you know, or they just kind of
So-
contacted you?
All Wrong was actually pretty big. I mean,
Yeah.
like relatively on a local scale. And I think that once we kind of started picking up traction, they were like, hey, this is, maybe a good opportunity for us. So
Nice.
yeah, I would assume, I mean, we didn't never put out an email or anything. They just sort of
Yeah.
contacted us. And
Is that something that you would suggest, like bands starting out, or even bands that have been bands for a while, to seek something like that out, or just let it come to you?
I
I
would
like
say if you're young and you're new to it, for sure, like that can help a lot.
Yeah.
And even more so, like if you're kind of established, once you sort of have a name and people are paying
Yeah,
attention, they can
that
they
next
can actually
level.
help even more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But especially if you're just starting out, yeah, it can be really helpful to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
But
Nice.
then again, like bottom line too, just like get yourself out there,
Yeah, just play shows.
play shows,
Yeah.
release the music, tell everyone about it, even if if it's not gonna have like a massive turnout or anything. At least you
Yeah.
put it out and like people are gonna listen to it and it might go somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and come see me because I do cheap recordings in a really nice studio. So
Nice.
Yeah,
That is
Wes
awesome.
Wes Luna has done a lot of stuff like back to back with Nick.
Okay.
too, so.
Is that he recorded with you his like new songs, like
Yeah.
The Fame?
yeah,
Okay,
we did
because
that together.
that's another thing I remember in my room, because he was on the podcast too, and I
Yeah,
remember
cool.
like hearing that name for some reason. But yeah, I remember him telling me about that. So
Yeah, no,
and
we have a lot
The
of fun
Fame
together.
turned out really well. So.
Oh yeah, I would just because he did it all out of his bedroom too. So I would just wake up and then hear like Wes nail a guitar track. He is so
Yeah, that
good
dude
at
can
guitar.
play some guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's I filled in on drums for him when he was doing Over Under,
Oh yeah.
uh-huh.
and
did
the
too.
dude, he can play the fuck out of a guitar.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But have you listened to his new band Stereo Shifter?
Yeah, we played
new
with
to him, or
They
well, they're
actually just broke up. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh is in
Breaking
Washington
news?
now. Shout out to Josh and Wes, by the way.
Yes.
And
and Peter.
Breaking news on the Don't Start a Band podcast.
That happened like 2 weeks ago.
you heard it here first.
You heard it. You possibly heard it here first, if you did or you didn't. But
yeah, no, that's real sad. I wish I
didn't
knew
know
when their
that.
last show was so I could like
Yeah.
promote it, but
huh? Damn, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
that was pretty
yeah.
They
sad.
were
when
supposed
I-
to come on the podcast.
Them and
as well.
postcards too. Just ruining my life over here.
Please
really?
tell me you didn't just find this out. Like
I-
postcard. Okay.
I'm sorry. I know, dude. I fucking suck. Okay.
No, it's fine.
I need to get better about going out to more local shows. I mean, I used to go to shows all the time, and now I barely go to any shows. But I
Feel
mean,
that.
I love local bands and I love supporting local bands. And I feel like it's just like one of those things where I just got to get myself out there and like get in the groove of doing it. And then I'll be doing it all the time.
That's how I've met like most of the friends that I have now, honestly.
Yeah.
It was just showing up at shows and
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% like bands. A lot of bands have exposed the map to being successful or building something.
yeah.
You know, they expose it and they tell you go to local shows, meet local artists, and do all these things. And it's just a matter of like actually doing it. You know what I mean?
Especially with like the music community that the Denver scene already has. It's like
Yeah.
incredibly
It's
like,
huge.
Everyone kind of knows each other
Yeah.
one way or another.
Well, what's crazy is I mean, it's big within, like, I would consider the Backseaters and you guys like in the same scene, you know?
We need to get on a show about something.
Yeah. Why the fuck hasn't
Why
that
haven't we-
happened? I definitely want to do that
That'd be cool. We should
very
do it.
soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about this after the podcast.
Yes.
We need to get on that.
After the podcast. We'll start cooking something up. But I mean, it's big within like our little realm, but then there's like a whole like deathcore scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I think the hardcore scene in Denver is like one of the biggest scenes in Denver
It's
right now.
Been pretty prime for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's been there for a while, but like looking at like the amount of hardcore bands as opposed to like other styles of bands, like there's a lot of fucking hardcore in Denver and Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah,
Especially in
Springs.
Springs.
You got
Yeah.
Tiger Wine.
Yeah, it's-
Sky Burial, right?
Sky
Remain and Sustain.
Yeah, Remain and
Where are they
Sustain is
from?
also their Highlands Ranch.
Do they still live here, or did they
Mm,
move there?
Part
Because
of the members live
Yeah.
in Highlands Ranch still.
because I remember
my
going to see
knowledge.
them. I mean, at some of their first shows, and I actually recorded their first demo
No,
Oh, really?
when I had like just started recording, and I've never been good at doing like the super distorted guitars and stuff because like all my shit is like clean
Mhm.
guitars and like live drums and stuff. I don't know how to program drums, and you know, I don't have the capabilities of like recording good grungy like super heavy guitars.
Uh-huh.
Just not good at it.
Just
Come-
DI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I should have done, but I also didn't have plugins at the time, and
Yeah.
like I didn't have anything that would help. But at the end of the day, like they needed music that they could like give to people to, you know, kind of
Be like, this
show.
is us. We're gonna go
Yeah.
above.
Because I mean, that's a big thing. You're not going to get shows if you don't have music,
Right.
plain and
Mhm.
simple. And yeah, now they're fucking huge. So, but
Mhm.
fuck, what was I gonna say? I think I was gonna say something about Oh Whale. I saw that Corey mentioned you guys. Did he make like a playlist, or was that just like his favorite bands in Denver
He just kind of
that he
threw
tagged
a-
you guys in?
I mean, as far as I saw, he just kind of like made a playlist with all of his favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, he just was like, yeah.
I'm really disappointed in myself that we haven't spent as much time together.
I know,
Because
right?
like I feel like we gel on like musical influences and as far as like writing styles and stuff, and how we have not played a show together is fucking beyond me.
Well, I mean, in a different band. You were in a different
Yeah.
band at the time.
Yeah, and
but-
if I fail, but yeah, the Backseaters though, we need to
Yeah.
We need
we
to
need to
needs
get
to
that
happen
going
for sure.
for sure. Let's see, what do I have here? I think that's just about it. I kind of wanted to ask. Well, I did want to ask because I'm like I'm super interested in marketing.
Mhm.
And is there something that you guys do that you can say is like your number one go-to for promotion and stuff like that? Do you guys sponsor posts on Facebook, or are you guys more about like playing tons and tons of shows and people seeing you live?
We're all about the live vibe, definitely.
Okay.
We're all about the whole like pretty much just like getting out there, but like making a live performance. and
Yeah.
saying that it's more unique to In My Room.
Yeah.
than maybe
Making
like,
an experience as opposed to playing individual songs.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 And I would like to
I
do
get
the same thing with Bubba Duck eventually. You know, like I have this
Okay.
like big like plan in my head.
Yeah.
Where I'm just gonna like, blow people's minds. Hopefully. And
Yeah.
with-
No, I
actually-
checked it out because for some reason when I went to your page, I wasn't able to like I clicked on In My Room, and I don't know if it was because I did it on my phone,
uh-huh.
but it like took me to some random page that had like 0 likes and 0
Oh, weird.
anything. And like I said, I don't know if it's because I did it on my phone, but like
You
I
might have
clicked on
found
it.
the heart of In My Room by accident.
Possibly. But yeah, so I was like, all right, these guys are new. But then I checked out Bubba Duck and I was like, this is way too advanced to be like something brand new. And then like I went on your Instagram and I found that you had all these songs. And so
Oh yeah.
yeah, I dig it for sure. And I dig, live shows. How often do you guys play? Like how many times a month would you say?
Usually once or twice.
Yeah,
Okay.
once or twice.
Yeah, because a lot of the things like people always tell you when you're starting out, play as many shows as possible. But
Yeah,
when
I
you
got 2
get,
jobs.
yeah, well, and when you get to a certain stature, you have to play less shows because you need more people to come to
Right.
those bigger shows.
Mhm. But I always think it's like a really cool idea to be like, okay, we're gonna play a show in Denver, and then like maybe we'll have like Denver people come. We're gonna play a show
Yeah.
in Springs, Fort Collins,
Kind of what
Yeah.
False Report
kind of
does.
go
yeah.
around the.
I definitely want to branch out more. Like I haven't played in Fort Collins in a very long time, so I would like to
Yeah,
do
we haven't
that.
played outside of Denver in a really long time.
True. Yeah.
Maybe that's what we'll do.
For
Book
there
a
we
show in
go.
Fort Collins,
Furthest we've been
and we
up
can get
north.
Cafe Mexicali.
Yeah.
Have you
Let's
had
do it.
Cafe
Raise-
Mexicali?
I drove past it on my way to the
Oh,
Waffle Lab.
dude.
They have this white habanero sauce, and it's not even that spicy, but it's like a cream sauce that you can smother your burrito.
Yeah.
Oh
we're going.
my
We're
God.
going.
Sold.
It makes me want to cry.
Sold.
It's so fucking good.
Oh, you've heard of the Waffle Lab, right?
I have not.
It's in Fort Collins. They're like the whole like organic Colorado ingredients along the board,
Okay.
like whatever. But oh my god, I've never had a better
Yeah.
breakfast. Their hash browns and then their bacon, like all of it's on point. All of it's on point.
Yeah, there's a place across the street from here called the Urban Egg.
Oh,
and
Yeah.
yeah, their hash browns and their biscuits and gravy. Like I don't know how the fuck they make it, but it's amazing. I'm gonna start a food podcast, or just make it like, don't start a band, don't make food. Let's just call it.
Don't
that.
start
Don't
a
start a
restaurant.
restaurant. Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
don't start a restaurant, and definitely don't start a band that plays in your restaurant that you didn't start.
Episode 1, put the pan down.
Yeah, put the pan down and unplug. So what song did you guys send me?
Porch lighter.
Porch Lighter?
Porch lighter. Yeah.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about that song.
So that song is a love song that's not a love song. It sounds like a love song, but it's actually about being. So I don't smoke weed because I can't handle my weed.
Yeah.
So-
People always look at you like you're fucking crazy when you live in Colorado and you don't smoke weed.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Everybody.
I'm born and raised, and like, don't get me wrong, I smoked weed in high school a lot. But like, it's just, you got to really carve out some fucking time if you're going to
I
get
was gonna say,
stoned. Like,
sometimes-
especially for me
yeah,
and probably for
I
you.
really
Exactly.
enjoy like having the long day of work.
Yeah.
And then just coming home and then like whatever. Like I'm not.
I think that's definitely like okay, but yeah, if it was like midday, like you got to make sure that nothing's pressing and you got nothing to do.
once you have the diploma in your hands, your tolerance just leaves your body, and you're like, "What just happened?"
Fucking seems like that when it gets legalized. And yeah, that's what really, because I remember me and my friends like used to smoke like 3 bowls and have like a decent buzz and be able to like go play mini golf and like go do shit.
Mhm.
Now, if I was a part of a team smoking 3 bowls,
You're just like, "Whoo! I gotta like sit down and take a
oh
nap
my
or something."
god, yeah,
So
I don't think I'd make it to 3 bowls. I think I'd make it like maybe
I usually
one and a
don't
half.
that's good
past,
though.
like,
That's
one
good
hit.
though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, like 1 or 2 hits at the end of the day or like before bed, like I believe in marijuana. I think that it's
Oh, yeah,
a
100%.
wonderful, medicine and something
Yeah, I
that
love
is
CBD.
way better than CBD is amazing. And I think it's fucking awesome that it's legal across the board because now they
Yeah.
sell it at like Vitamin Cottage.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
And,
just passed like
yeah,
last year or
the
something like that.
fact that it wasn't before
Yeah,
is just
it can't get you high like it.
yeah, and all it does is help. Like
Yeah.
I've used it for anxiety. I have arthritis in my
Is that true?
I
Wow.
am like derailer persona non grata.
Oh,
like,
we have the worst habit of getting off track. It's
So that song is an apology that I wrote to an ex-girlfriend of mine.
so
for
it's a
being-
Jake style song.
Yeah.
it's actually a
about-
Backseaters song
Cover.
cover.
Going back to the cover songs. A song that you didn't know was by the Backseaters.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, sorry.
But it's about being too high to like continue hanging out, and like I smoked weed and had to go to bed, and it was my apology to her for doing that to her.
Okay.
So
Just leaving her out on the
yeah,
on the porch with me and all the other hooligans on
Yeah.
the patio.
yeah,
Okay.
She was not very happy with me that night.
Hey, you know what? It's a beautiful thing that you can assess the fact that maybe it wasn't the best thing for you to do.
I was being
Yeah.
very irresponsible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks for
having
having
us.
I would love to do this again,
Of
and I would
course.
also love to play a show with you guys.
Yes,
So-
of course.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Episode number 26 of the Don't Start a Band podcast with In My Room. And this is Porch Lighter. And we're done.
All righty.
Thank you, everybody on YouTube, or people who are going to watch this on YouTube.
Bye, everybody who's gonna watch this on YouTube.
Yeah, sometimes.